There are towns in America where nothing ever happens. Not the kind of nothing people complain about, the real kind. The kind where the same pickup trucks drive the same roads every morning, where the woman behind the diner counter pours your coffee before you sit down, where people leave their doors unlocked because nobody in living memory has ever given them a reason not to, places where life settles into a rhythm so steady it begins to feel permanent. Marlow, Idaho was one of those towns. Population, 4,231. One traffic light, one medical clinic, one high school, one main street that looked almost exactly the same in every season except winter. For 73 years, nothing remarkable had ever happened there, until the dreams stopped. At first, it was small enough that nobody noticed. A teenager mentioning at breakfast that he hadn't dreamed the night before. A mechanic waking up with the odd feeling that he had forgotten something important. A teacher at the elementary school telling another teacher that she slept all night and still woke up tired. Normally, people forget dreams. They slip away fast. They dissolve in the light. By noon, they're nothing but fragments. But this was different. These dreams weren't fading. They were missing. Night after night, more people said the same thing. Nothing. No dreams at all. By the fourth night, something else began to change. People woke up tired, not sleepy, tired in a deeper way, the kind of tired that settles behind your eyes, the kind coffee doesn't touch, the kind that makes laughter sound forced and conversation feel like work. Across Marlow, people moved just a little slower, smiled a little less, paused a little longer before answering simple questions. Animals noticed first. They always do. The town had dogs in nearly every other yard, and after dark there was usually some kind of barking, a raccoon in a trash bin, a passing truck, a shape moving past a fence, something, but not that week. After midnight, the dogs went quiet. No barking, no whining, no scratching at doors, just silence. Heavy, unnatural. At 2:17 in the morning, Caleb Rhodes stepped out the side door of Marlow Elementary School and into the cold. Caleb worked nights as the janitor. He liked the quiet. Most people found empty school buildings unsettling, but he preferred them that way. No shouting in the hallways, no doors slamming, no phones ringing, just the hum of fluorescent lights and the steady comfort of routine. That night, though, the quiet felt wrong, too complete. Even the wind seemed to be holding its breath. Caleb stood beside the football field, pulled a cigarette from the pack in his jacket and flicked his lighter. The flame caught. He took one drag, exhaled slowly, and looked up. 3 pale lights hovered above the tree line beyond the field. He froze. They weren't blinking like aircraft. They weren't drifting like lanterns. They weren't bright enough to be floodlights or stars. They were just there, 3 dull white shapes suspended over the forest, perfectly still, watching. Caleb squinted at them. His mind tried to make them into something familiar. A drone, a reflection, tower lights, but nothing about them fit. He stared for nearly a minute. Then, slowly, the lights dimmed. Not moving, just fading, like eyes closing. And then they were gone. Caleb stood alone beside the school, with his cigarette burning down between his fingers. After a few seconds, he shook his head. Must be tired. He crushed the cigarette beneath his boot, went back inside, locked the door, and finished mopping the hallway. By morning, he barely remembered the lights at all. And by the end of that day, nobody in Marlow remembered dreaming. Not a single person. 200 miles away, inside a secure GoodNeighbor monitoring center, a terminal flashed red. A technician leaned toward the screen. "Cognitive field alert," he said. The senior analyst behind him didn't move at first. Source? Clustered population anomaly, Marlow, Idaho. Type? The technician's fingers moved across the keys. Satellite-assisted behavioral monitoring, civilian sleep pattern anomalies, regional cognitive variance, digital scraping from local medical complaints, and school attendance logs all merged into one result. He swallowed. REM suppression. That got the analyst's attention. Run anomaly correlation. The system processed for 3 seconds. Then a file opened, GN117. The analyst exhaled through his nose. We've got a Dream Eater event. Minutes later, the ARU-7 briefing bay came alive. The projection screen showed a map of Marlow and the surrounding forest. 5 figures stood around the table beneath the cold overhead lights. Marcus Hale stood at the head of it, calm posture. Hands braced against the table, already reading the room before anyone spoke. Overview, he said. Daniel Malik brought up the first layer of data. Civilian pattern recognition flagged unusual sleep complaints 3 days ago. Medical search clustering pushed it to review 6 hours ago. Satellite-assisted cognitive sweeps confirm widespread REM suppression across the entire town. Population? Hale asked. 4,231, Malik said. Sarah Kim glanced down at her tablet. That puts it well inside level 2 risk if exposure is sustained. Dr. Elena Ortega studied the graph in silence for a moment. The lines were wrong. Too flat, too uniform. How long? Malik switched displays. Based on symptom spread, likely 6 nights. Riley Carter folded her arms. And nobody called it in sooner? Small town, Malik said. Fatigue, headaches, poor sleep, school complaints. It looked mundane until the pattern widened. Ortega nodded once. GN117 fits. Hale looked to her. Say it. Ortega straightened slightly. If this is GN117, then we are dealing with a cognitive parasitic feeder. It consumes dream state neural activity from nearby humans. The longer it feeds, the more REM suppression spreads. Emotional flattening and imagination loss come first. Cognitive decline comes after. Carter grimaced. And after that? Ortega met her eyes. Neurological failure if the feeding cycle continues long enough. The room stayed quiet for half a beat. Kim broke it. Containment authorized? Hale looked at the screen, then at his team. If it's stable enough to move, yes. Malik raised a hand slightly. I'd like to point out that stable enough to move is doing some heavy lifting there. Carter gave him a look. You planning to joke your way through this one? I'm planning to remain realistic through this one. Hale cut across it without raising his voice. Gear loadout? Kim answered immediately. RDS CFM, tactical drone package, portable containment field projector, stabilization emitters, transport-ready capsule interface if COD green lights transfer. Good, Hale said. Roll. The ARU-7 vehicle entered Marlow just after noon the following day under the public markings of an environmental response contractor. To the town, it was just another utility truck. To the people inside it, the streets already looked wrong. Not damaged, not panicked, muted. The town moved like it had been turned down. Hale watched from the passenger seat as they passed the bakery, the gas station, the diner. People walked, talked, crossed streets, loaded groceries into truck beds, but their expressions seemed drained. Their movements felt slightly delayed, like the town was running a fraction behind itself. Ortega noticed it too. Flattened affect. Malik lifted the cognitive field monitor and checked the rolling data. Confirmed. It's everywhere. Carter looked through the windshield toward the school and the trees beyond it. You can feel it. Kim parked beside the medical clinic. Public cover? Hale answered automatically. Environmental contamination sweep. If anyone asks, we're checking groundwater anomalies. Malik smirked faintly, which, in a way, is almost true. Save it, Carter said. They stepped out into the gray afternoon, carrying cases that looked ordinary enough to anyone who didn't know what they were seeing. Inside the clinic, Dr. Ellen Cartwright looked like she had already had the worst week of her year. She stood when the team entered, more from irritation than courtesy. Unless one of you is here to explain why half my patients are exhausted and the other half can't think clearly, I don't have time. Hale reached into his jacket and showed a badge too quickly for anyone else in the room to read clearly. Dr. Cartwright, he said, we need 5 minutes. She looked at him, then at the others, then at the black cases in their hands. That sounds like the opening line to something I don't want. Probably, Malik said quietly. Hale gave him a look. Malik looked away. A minute later, they were in Ellen's office with the door closed. What agency? She asked. GoodNeighbor, Hale said. That tells me nothing. It isn't supposed to, he replied. Ortega stepped forward before the exchange hardened further. Doctor, how many patients have reported abnormal sleep symptoms? Cartwright folded her arms. Headaches, fatigue, mental fog, unusual emotional flattening. 23 today, 31 yesterday. And before you ask, no, I don't think they're faking. Dream recall? Ortega asked. Cartwright hesitated. None. Kim set a compact unit on the desk. Malik activated it, and a soft blue scan rose across the display. What is that? Cartwright asked. Cognitive field monitor, Malik said. It detects large-scale irregularities in brain state activity. She stared at him. He gave a tiny shrug. Long story. The monitor populated with regional readings. Cartwright leaned closer, despite herself. The lines were almost flat where REM activity should have spiked. That isn't possible, she said. No, Ortega agreed. It isn't. But it is happening. Cartwright looked from the screen to Ortega. What exactly are you saying? Hale answered, We believe there is an anomaly in or around Marlow suppressing REM sleep and feeding on dream state cognition. Cartwright stared at him for a long second. Then she laughed once, not because it was funny, because it was absurd. A what? A dream eater, Malik said. Carter glanced at him. That helping? It is technically accurate. Ortega ignored both of them. We only need one thing from you right now, Doctor. Has anyone reported seeing something unusual near the onset of symptoms? Lights, sounds, missing time, repeated imagery. Cartwright's expression changed slightly. There was a janitor, she said. Caleb Rhodes. Came in this morning for a headache. Said he'd been sleeping badly. Mentioned he thought he saw lights over the forest behind the elementary school. Carter straightened. And? He said he wasn't sure anymore. Hale nodded once. Where do we find him? 10 minutes later, they were in the diner. Caleb sat in the third booth from the window with untouched coffee in front of him. staring at nothing in particular. Linda, the waitress, looked up as the team entered. "You people with the county?" "Close enough," Hale said. Caleb looked up as they approached. "You Caleb Rhodes?" Carter asked. He nodded slowly. Hale took the opposite side of the booth. "We need to ask you about the lights you saw." Caleb frowned. "What lights?" Malik leaned against the aisle, watching him carefully. "That's the problem." For the next few minutes, they walked him through the night. The cigarette, the football field, the silence, the tree line. At first, Caleb remembered almost nothing. Then Ortega changed tactics. What was unusual about the dogs? He blinked. The dogs? "You noticed something was missing before you saw the lights," she said gently. "What was it?" His eyes shifted. "The barking," he said. "Good," Ortega said. "And then?" Caleb pressed the heel of his hand against his forehead. "I went outside, lit a cigarette. And then?" I looked up. His breathing changed. Carter saw it first. "He's pulling it back." Caleb swallowed. 3 lights over the trees. "Moving?" Hale asked. "No." "Sound?" "No." "Shape?" Caleb looked unsettled now. "I thought they were lights." Ortega leaned in slightly. "And now?" He shook his head once. "I don't know." Malik checked the handheld display. Cognitive disturbance spike. Hale stood. "We've got enough. Carter, perimeter with Caleb. Kim, load the drone. Malik, I want a full sweep from the school grounds. Ortega, with me." The forest behind Marlow Elementary looked ordinary in the wrong way. The field was quiet. The bleachers were empty. The trees stood motionless beneath a sky that seemed too pale for the hour. Kim opened the equipment case while Malik powered up the reality density scanner. "Beginning sweep," he said. The RDS hummed softly, then pulsed. Malik frowned. "Got distortion." "Spatial?" Hale asked. "Not exactly. Density variance. Weak, but organized." Ortega watched the numbers populate. Cognitive overlay interacting with local space. It's nesting close. Carter scanned the tree line. How close? Malik turned the screen. A circular pattern spread outward from a point just inside the woods. "There," he said. Kim handed Carter the drone unit. "Eyes first." The drone lifted with a faint electric buzz and disappeared over the field. Its camera feed appeared on Malik's screen, first showing trees, then brush, then the uneven forest floor. "Thermal is useless," Malik muttered. "Everything's cold." "Switch multispectrum," Ortega said. He did. The image flickered, blurred, then sharpened. Something beneath the ground lit up. Not fully visible, not fully physical. A shape larger than a truck and wrong in every proportion. It seemed buried and half-phased into the earth at the same time. Then 3 pale circles opened inside the image. Caleb, standing a few feet back with Carter, whispered, "That's them." Hale stared at the feed. "Those aren't lights." "No," Ortega said quietly. "They're receptors." Malik swallowed. "Tell me that's dormant." Mostly, Ortega said. Mostly? She pointed at the display. See the pulse pattern? It's weak, but it's synchronized with residual human REM attempts. The field is still feeding, just less efficiently during daylight. Kim checked the CFM. Town-wide suppression hasn't broken. Ortega nodded. It won't until we cut the field or remove the entity. Hale made the decision immediately. Containment, not termination. We take it alive if we can. Carter looked at him. You sure? If it's stable enough to transport, yes. Ortega gave a single approving nod. Kim was already moving. Stabilization emitters? Triangle configuration, Hale said. Compress the field inward. Malik looked between the feed and the scanner. If we push too hard, we could destabilize the local cognitive gradient. Carter stared at him. Say that in English. We could wake it up badly. Better, Carter said. Kim and Carter moved first, carrying the emitters across the field at 3 points around the tree line. Hale took the field projector. Ortega stayed with Malik at the mobile analysis station, tracking the changes. Caleb stood back, pale and exhausted. So what exactly happens if you don't stop it? No one answered at first. Then Ortega did, still watching the screen. It keeps feeding, she said, and eventually the town forgets how to dream at all. Caleb looked toward the quiet houses beyond the school. That can happen. Apparently, Malik said. The emitters locked into place. Kim's voice came over comms. Node 1 set. Node 2 set, Carter said. Hale reached the 3rd point and anchored the final emitter into the ground. Node 3 set. Kim. Ready to synchronize. Ortega checked the spread. Field still active. Feed rate low but consistent. We do this now or we wait until night, and I'd rather not see what happens at night. Agreed, Hale said. Synchronize on my count. 3, 2, 1. Activate. The emitters came alive together. A low hum rolled across the field. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the air above the tree line bent inward like heat over pavement. Malik's eyes widened. It's working. Density spike collapsing toward center. The drone feed shook. The buried shape beneath the earth shifted. Caleb took a step back. It moved. Hold steady, Hale said. The hum deepened. On the monitor, the 3 pale receptors brightened, then narrowed as the containment geometry squeezed the field tighter and tighter around the center point. Kim read off numbers. Suppression radius dropping. Outer edge retracting. Ortega watched the CFM. Dream state interference decoupling from population. Malik blinked. That's a good thing, right? Yes, Ortega said, unless it decides to resist. As if in answer, the ground in the woods trembled. Carter's hand went to her sidearm out of instinct, then stopped there. Good neighbor equipment wasn't built for war, and neither was this mission. The earth shifted again, not violently, but with weight. Kim's voice sharpened. Containment integrity dipping. Adjust node 2 by 4 degrees inward, Ortega said. Carter moved instantly. On it. The hum changed pitch. The pale receptors on the drone feed widened one last time. For a split second, the thing beneath the earth looked almost like it was looking back. Then the image collapsed inward. The receptors dimmed. The shape loosened, folded into itself, and went still. Silence settled over the field. Malik stared at his screen. Field activity dropping fast. Kim checked her tablet. Town-wide REM suppression falling below critical threshold. Ortega exhaled slowly. It's entering dormancy. Hale didn't relax yet. Can we move it? Malik looked at the density readouts. I wouldn't call it happy about the arrangement, but yes, stabilized enough for transport interface. Kim was already opening the next case. Calling COD, Hale keyed comms. ARU-7 to containment operations. GN-117 stabilized and ready for capsule transfer. Marking exact coordinates now. Static crackled for a moment, then a voice answered. Copy. ARU-7. Transport team inbound. Caleb stared at all of them. That thing has a number? Malik glanced at him. You'd be surprised how many things have numbers. The rest of the operation happened quickly and with the strange efficiency of people who had done impossible things before. Containment anchors held the local field in place while the transport capsule was brought to the forest edge. Under Ortega's direction, the stabilization lattice narrowed the entity's interaction radius until GN-117 could be isolated without reactivating its feeding pattern. No one but ARU-7 and the COD crew ever saw the buried shape clearly. Even then, what they saw never made complete sense. The entity did not rise, it did not crawl, it did not emerge like an animal. It simply became present inside the capsule in stages, as if the space around it had been convinced to accept a different truth. When the lock sealed, the pale receptors inside finally went dark. Kim checked the containment shell. Adaptive atmosphere stable. COD confirmed the transfer. Hale watched until the secured transport vehicle disappeared down the road. Then he turned back toward Marlow. The town was still quiet, but it felt different now. Lighter, as if some invisible pressure had eased. By that evening, people in Marlow began to feel the first signs of recovery. The headaches did not vanish all at once, neither did the fatigue, but the strange blankness behind the eyes began to lift. The dogs barked again that night. A truck backfired near Main Street, and someone shouted about it from a porch. At the diner, Linda laughed at something one of the regulars said, and the sound seemed oddly loud after so many quiet days. 3 nights later, the first dreams returned. They came unevenly. Fragments at first, unclear shapes, voices from nowhere, half-remembered places. Then full dreams, strange and vivid and deeply ordinary in the way only real dreams are. Dr. Cartwright reported improved mood, improved sleep, and the gradual normalization of cognitive function across town. Officially, the incident was attributed to a temporary environmental contaminant and a cluster of stress-related neurological symptoms. Most people accepted that because most people wanted to. Caleb Rhodes did not entirely accept it. He never spoke publicly about the lights again, but sometimes he stood beside the football field after dark and looked toward the trees as if waiting for something to look back. Nothing ever did. At Site 7, GN117 was placed within the cognitive containment wing under controlled conditions. Later, according to restricted archive notes, it would be paired with GN118 in a managed cognitive loop environment designed to provide non-human cognitive output and prevent dangerous feeding behavior escalation. The official report was filed 2 days later. Designation GN117. Operational name Dream Eater. Primary type cognitive entity. Behavior classification parasitic feeder. Threat level 2. Population influence. Containment determination authorized. Current status facility containment. Site 7. Summary. Non-human organism that consumes dream state neural activity from nearby humans. Prolonged exposure suppresses imagination, emotional processing, and REM sleep across affected populations. Entity was identified beneath a forested area adjacent to Marlow Elementary School following a 6-day dream suppression event affecting the town of Marlow, Idaho. ARU-7 successfully localized the feeding field, forced the entity into dormancy using stabilization emitters, and transferred it to containment operations for relocation to Site 7. Affected population resumed normal dreaming cycles within 72 hours. Case status resolved. Some residents later reported dreams involving pale lights beneath the earth. These experiences were classified as harmless residual cognitive effects. Officially, nothing remarkable had ever happened in Marlow. And by the time the town began dreaming again, most of the people there were more than willing to believe that.